Welcome to episode 4 of Coffee with Coach Caffey. This is the episode about the early years at Spring Lake Earth. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run, they shall not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." My first couple of years at Spring Lake Earth, it was a difficult time. Things didn't go very well for us, and they hadn't gone very well for about 3 years before I got there. And so, we went through a little shared suffering that first few years. And some psychologists say if you want to really draw a family together, take them camping and put them through some shared suffering. And so we did grow close together those first few years, but we didn't have a ton of success. Although we were able to make the playoffs every year I was at Spring Lake Earth. So the first 6 games I coached at Spring Lake Earth, we lost all 6. And, some of them were close, some of them were not close. And so I can remember sitting in the coach's office and just praying, "Lord, show me a way that we can move the balls, make some first downs." And so Lord answered my prayers. We started running the ISO option. We moved old Logan McCurry to tailback, and we rode that pony all the way to the playoffs. He did a great job for us. Jordan Muniz was our quarterback, and he did a good job of executing that offense. And, he ran the ball well himself. Well, George wasn't afraid of anything. We've lost 6. Game 7, we play Farwell. It's a district game. And Farwell comes to Spring Lake Earth, and we beat them 21-6. And, it's a big win for us. It keeps us in the playoff hunt. And so I can still remember my heart pounding right before we scored that first touchdown against Farwell, because I wasn't real sure we were going to be able to do it. But we did. And those kids really stepped up, like I said, and they played well. Then we beat Claude the next week. We beat them 38-16. And in the next game, we beat Sudan at Sudan 32-14. And the week after that, Bovina came over and they humbled us a little bit, but they had a good squad that year. But we won the right 3 games, made the playoffs, and we drew Memphis in the first round. And Memphis had an exceptional team, really talented. 2 running backs that ended up playing college football on that team. And we played hard, but we lost big. And I was exhausted after that game. Just the grind of the season had gotten to me. And I can remember on the bus ride home thinking that I was not sure if I could coach another year. I was that tired. The next day I checked into the heart hospital in Lubbock, and they put a couple of stents in my heart. And I was feeling better physically after that. I was helped that first couple of years by Mike Ritchie. Mike Ritchie's a good friend and was really loyal to me during that time. Mike played for me at Lubbock Christian College as a defensive back, and he was a big help. He was my defensive coordinator. Bill Weldon, a guy that I went to church with and a former coach, he was also really encouraging to me and supported me well. And then, the following year, before the next football season, we were able to hire my son Jeff, who had been the head coach down at Lakey. And Jeff joined our staff. Of course, it was real benefit to have him on the staff. Then another guy in town, Guile Robinson, played on that same team at Lubbock Christian. And Guy agreed to be our Booster Club president, and he did a lot to boost our spirits. And he also had a son that was real young then, and he ended up being a great player for us. Even though we're building a team, we're struggling. We had the support there in Spring Lake Earth to get that program built. I did not get to have an off season with the 06 team. We moved up there again right at the end of the school year, and never saw those kids till the summer got there. And so in the spring of 07, we made some real strides in getting stronger, and our team chemistry was better. The 2007 team, we were more competitive. We were in every ball game. We played really close, the ones we lost, but we only won one more game. We beat Plains and the teams that we beat the year before. But scores were real close, and when we met Memphis, who had beaten us badly the year before, we met them in the playoffs, and so the Memphis loss was only a 4-point loss. So we're gaining confidence, and Spring Lake Earth had been a football power for many years prior to the little downturn that we'd had. But our opponents started realizing that Spring Lake Earth was coming back, and they were even reluctant to put us on the schedule for the following year. But we filled out our schedule, and 2008 rolled around, and we had our first winning season during my time there. We had a big lineman, Heath Fennell, that was the anchor for the team and a quiet leader. And we had several good seniors in that team, but we were still young. And I've always said that you have to learn how to win first. You have to get over that hump first, and then the next hump is to learn how to win in the playoffs. And so this is our third year in a row we're in the playoffs, and we go to Littlefield to play Rawls in the playoffs, and again we lose a close ball game, a 6-point game. We just made several mistakes, in the crunch time, and we weren't able to get that win. Well, our sophomore quarterback, Blake Betts, had done a great job for us all year long, and old Blake got hurt during that game and was unable to finish the game, and so we lost to Rawls 20-14. But we had a lot of young players on that team, and so I told old Heath Fennell when he was getting ready to go throw the shot put in the state track meet, I told him, you know what, Heath, I think we may go a couple of years without losing a game. And so I wasn't very far from wrong about that. We went 24-4 over the next 2 years, and I was pretty close to right. We're going to talk about those two teams that followed that in next week's episode. Sometimes you have to wait on the Lord. The Lord will renew your spirit. He'll give you strength when you doubt yourself. I not many times as a coach I really doubted myself, but during that first year I started thinking, what was I doing wrong, or why couldn't I get things done there like I had in other places? But it was worth the wait, and that's what the message I have for you today. It took us 4 years to really get that thing turned around. I love the people of Spring Lake Earth. I've mentioned a few of them here today, and they were great people and really supportive of me. And I can hardly watch that highlight video from 2010 without getting teary-eyed, because it's such an emotional thing for us. I can remember, and we'll get into that more, but hanging those medals around that 2010's team was a highlight, was another highlight in my coaching career, and you know, the sense of accomplishment that we had, that team. But we had a lot of fun. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week when we talk about the 2009 team, which went 11-2.